Most people think getting rich is loud. They picture luxury cars, expensive watches, first-class flights, and Instagram stories from places most people can't pronounce. That's what we're taught to associate with success. But here's the uncomfortable truth nobody posts online. Real wealth is quiet. In fact, when you're actually building wealth, you often feel behind, not ahead. You feel boring. You feel like you're missing out. And sometimes you wonder if you're doing something wrong because it doesn't look impressive yet. But the people who are truly getting rich rarely feel rich in the moment. They're too busy doing the right things quietly to notice how far they've already come. Today, I'm going to show you 8 subtle signs you're secretly getting rich, even if your lifestyle looks average, your car isn't flashy, and your friends think you're too careful with money. Because the truth is, wealthy people don't wait until they feel rich to act wealthy. They act first. The money catches up later. My name is Evan, and I spend an unhealthy amount of time thinking about money, psychology, and why some people move calmly through financial life, while others feel constantly stressed, even when they earn the same income. If you've ever wondered whether you're making progress or just spinning your wheels, hit subscribe and stay till the end of this video. One of these signs is usually the turning point most people never recognize. Let's get into it. 1. You live below your means, and it feels normal now. This is the foundation. Everything else stands on this. Living below your means doesn't mean being cheap. It means you've designed a life that costs less than what you earn, without feeling deprived. You don't chase upgrades just because you can afford the payment. You don't feel pressure to impress anyone. Your spending is intentional. Let me paint you a quick contrast. Rich Ryan makes $75,000 a year and lives on about $55,000. That leftover $20,000 isn't just savings, it's options, it's freedom, it's peace. Poor Paul makes the same $75,000 but spends $80,000. Every raise disappears into lifestyle upgrades. He looks successful and feels anxious. That margin, which you don't spend, is everything. It creates breathing room. It absorbs emergencies. It funds investments. And over 10 or 20 years, this habit quietly compounds into a financial life that feels calm instead of stressful. If your expenses are rising slower than your income, even slightly, you're already ahead of most people. 2. You think long-term while others chase quick wins. Most people want fast results. The hot stock, the viral side hustle, the overnight success story. But if you're getting rich quietly, your brain has already shifted. You care less about quick wins and more about durable outcomes. You think in decades, not weeks. You understand compounding, not just mathematically, but emotionally. You know consistency beats excitement. You know boring often wins. Rich Ryan invests $500 a month into index funds and barely checks his account. When markets drop, he keeps buying. Over time, his discipline multiplies. Poor Paul jumps from idea to idea. Crypto one year, day trading the next, then real estate seminars. He never stays still long enough to benefit from compounding. 20 years later, one has wealth, the other has experience and regret. Quiet wealth is patient wealth. If your financial plan still works even when you're not paying attention to it daily, you're doing something right. 3. You have a financial buffer and you don't talk about it. One of the clearest signs you're quietly getting rich is invisible security. You're not living paycheck to paycheck anymore, and you don't announce it, you don't flex it, you just feel it. Unexpected expenses don't send you into panic mode. A car repair is annoying, not catastrophic. A job change feels stressful, but survivable. That's the power of a buffer. Rich Ryan keeps $20,000 in a high-yield savings account. It doesn't earn much, and that's the point. It earns peace. Poor Paul keeps $300 in savings and calls it an emergency fund. Every surprise becomes a crisis. Everything goes on a credit card. If you've built 3 to 6 months of expenses in cash, you're already ahead of roughly 75% of Americans, even if no one knows it. Security isn't flashy, but it's priceless. 4. Your income grows, but your lifestyle barely changes. This is where most people fail. They get a raise and immediately upgrade their life. Bigger apartment, nicer car, more expensive habits. But quiet wealth builders do something different. Their income increases, but their baseline stays almost the same. Rich Ryan earned $60,000 and lived on $45,000. Years later, he earns $90,000 and lives on $50,000. The difference flows straight to investments. Poor Paul follows income with spending. His lifestyle grows in lockstep with his paycheck. Net result? No real progress. If your first thought after a raise is, how much more can I invest, instead of what can I upgrade, your mindset has already leveled up. Lifestyle inflation feels good short-term. Lifestyle control builds long-term wealth. 5. You've stopped comparing your life to others. Comparison is expensive. It pushes people into bad financial decisions faster than almost anything else. When you're quietly getting rich, something shifts. You stop caring what other people spend their money on. You realize that most visible wealth is financed, fragile, or temporary. A friend buys a $60,000 truck. You feel nothing. Someone posts a luxury vacation. No jealousy. A coworker upgrades apartments. No pressure. You're too focused on your plan. Rich Ryan sees spending through opportunity cost. Every dollar spent is one not invested. Poor Paul sees spending as validation. Keeping up feels necessary. Once comparison loses its power over you, marketing, peer pressure, and FOMO lose their grip too. That alone keeps many people broke for life. 6. Money fades into the background of your thoughts. When you're broke, money consumes you. You calculate every decision. You stress about bills. Your mental bandwidth is constantly drained. But when you quietly build wealth, money slowly becomes background noise. You've automated savings, bills are on autopay, investments happen without effort. Rich Ryan doesn't talk about money much anymore. His system works. He checks in occasionally and moves on. Poor Paul thinks about money constantly, but has no system. Every month feels like chaos. This shift from constant attention to quiet automation is a huge sign of progress. Boring money systems create exciting lives. 7. You value time more than things. One day, priorities flip. You stop glorifying busy. You stop chasing stuff. You start protecting time. That's real wealth. You pay for convenience when it makes sense. You say no without guilt. You build space into your calendar. Rich Ryan pays for cleaning, uses delivery sometimes, outsources low-value tasks to buy time for family, creativity, or rest. Poor Paul does everything himself to save money, but feels exhausted and rushed all the time. When you start optimizing life for freedom instead of accumulation, you're quietly rich in a way money can't fully measure. 8. You've taken ownership of your financial life. This is the final and most powerful sign. You stop making excuses. Not because the challenges aren't real, but because excuses don't move you forward. You don't say, "I can't afford it." You say, "That's not a priority right now." You don't blame income, the economy, or your upbringing. You work with what you control. Rich Ryan lives in an expensive city on $65,000. He gets roommates, he bikes, he meal preps, he invests anyway. Poor Paul earns the same, but explains why it's impossible. 5 years later, one has assets, the other has reasons. Ownership creates leverage. Leverage creates progress. If you recognize even one or two of these signs, you're already ahead of the curve. Wealth rarely feels exciting while it's being built. It feels quiet, uneventful, sometimes even boring. But boring decisions repeated consistently build unshakable freedom. So keep going, because if it doesn't feel like you're getting rich yet, you probably are, just quietly. And that's exactly how real wealth is built.